How to build a professional looking 3D portfolio with React 3 Fiber Part 4. Hello, today we'll finish creating our 3D portfolio by connecting all the blocks we previously created and by adding a cool portfolio project slider. Here's what you'll be able to achieve at the end of those 4 videos. I didn't cover the responsive yet, nor added a loader. Let me know in the comments if it's something you need and I'll make an extra video. That being said, let's finish our project. Let's continue with the same code. Currently, this is what we have. What we are going to try to do is to move our character here falling to make him sit in front of the desk and looks like he is typing and moving the mouse. The easiest way I found is to re-download the Mixamo animation, but this time you import the skin as well. Hit download. Then back in Blender, we will import that animation. Import FBX. And the last typing. Now it's in lighting, I will move it into items collection, but I will create an empty spot where we will place our character. Empty plane axis. Okay, and I will move our armature here. I take everything and move it to empty. Parent object. Perfect. Why this empty group? Because we don't want to modify the model itself, but to have a parent container to use it in React 3 Fiber later. So now we can try to move our empty group. Go to the right. Okay, try to make it sit to the top, rotate it, positionate it with G. Okay. But here it's too high. If I play the animation, we can see that the mouse is too far and the keyboard might be too big. Let's position our character perfectly. And now we can see the chair is too high, so we will fix it. But also when we type, the keyboard is too big and the mouse is too far. So let's adjust this. I recommend you to go to top view, so you can move it without creating problem on different axes. Position it the right place. And once you're fine, okay, now we will modify the chair. So open the chair, edit mode. You can go into wireframe view, select only the top, decrease it to the correct spot. Have a look if it's nice, not in wireframe. If you're good, looks it's better, but maybe our character is wrongly positioned, but take the time to do it. I won't do it again because I pre-baked for the tutorial. If you're good, file, export GLTF with the same settings. Now reload your page and just verify that the chair is smaller and the keyboard and mouse are the good size. By the way, you need to rebake to have the proper shadows because of your changes. What we will do is run npx gltf jsx with our scene again, but we use -k and -k lowercase to keep the empty group because we will need the empty group recreated to positionate our character. Now we can open scene and look for our empty group. Me, it's easy. I renamed it from empty to character spot. Just take this group and copy it. Now go to experience. Inside the office or next to the office, you can add the group. And inside that group, we will put our avatar. So our avatar currently is here. We will get rid of the previous position. Go to Office, and put it here. The animation will be by default typing. Now we can see our character is almost good, but I don't know why we have a slight difference, but we can adjust it. Let's try to adjust this position. All right, but because we moved the chair and items position, we need to copy them. So go to Scene, on the side, open Office, and just for those items, let's copy paste the positions. So we have the desk. We didn't move the desk, it's the chair. We can copy paste position and rotation. The keyboard, same. And the mouse. Oh, it didn't have position, so... Oh, where is it? Mouse, numbered, okay. Yeah, right. Now our character is correctly positioned. What we want to do is to make him jump to the next section. Currently, our avatar is in a group containing the office that is already rotated. But what we want is to have it more accessible globally. We want to put our avatar here in a new group. So to get the position of this new group, first we will put the avatar inside. To get the position of this group, it can be this because it's relative to the parent. What we can do is to add a ref and name it character container about ref. We will create this reference. And we will log the position of that group. So const position equal new 3 dot vector 3 dot current dot get word position. So we have the global position in the word, but this method take a vector to copy the values into. So it's our temporary position vector. What we will do is just log those values, but with the syntax we like. So position X, Y, and Z. Okay. Now, if we look at the console, it's constantly logging the real position. Let's copy. Now we can go to our group and paste the position. It's better, but we still need the rotation, so we will do exactly the same. Here, it's a quaternion because it's a rotation. We will use getWord quaternion to store it into our quaternion reference. We will need a vector 3 to set the rotation, so we use set from quaternion. And we log it like we did before, but we will stop logging the previous one and save. Now, currently it's displaying the rotation. We copy it. We go to our group, rotation equal, and we paste it. We can comment this code. And now it's way better. The rotation is correct. We still have an alignment issue, but we will see later what it is. To animate our character position, the only thing we need is to animate this group now. So we will use motion.group, and we will use the variants we've seen before. To animate our character position, we just need to move this group. We will use a motion group and the variant that we've seen before. To define the variant, we need to use animate and the name of the variant. As it's a string, we will use double quote and use the section number, so it will be the easiest way. So the first variant we need, we'll define here, we will use the 0, 1, so it gets back to the original state. We will use scale x to 0.9, y and z. This is why we have this issue, because the office container is scaled down, but not our character, so it will position back to the good position. Just let's have a look. Now the hands are correctly aligned to what we previously did. Now when we go to the second section, the number 1, we will set the y to minus viewport.height plus 0.5. X we will set 0, so it's centered. And the Z position, we want it to be close to us, so 7. And the rotation, because we need to set it back, we set 0 for both axes. Now what happens when we change from one to another? The final position is good, but the animation is way too jumpy and fast. Instead of the spring jumpy one we have, we will use another transition and use a time frame based. So just a duration of 0.6. Now, when we scroll down, it's doing it more smoothly and slowly. So now for the other sections, I found some positions and rotation, but of course, play with it and find the good ones. But if you try, you will see that we don't have section 3 and 4 defined. The only way it works is by clicking here to projects and to contact. This is because on our scroll manager, what we did is when the section change, it animates. So we didn't call on section change when we detect a scroll event. So what we can do is not use the global scroll we have, but to dynamically calculate it in the experience. So it's not related to what happens outside of it. To calculate it, we will just use scroll from here, then copy the code logic. So cur section is equal to this. So in use frame, do we have a use frame? Yes, we can set it here. And if cur section is different to section, we set section to cur section. But we need to define it. So we have const section, set section equal use state of 0. Now, what do we have? If we scroll down, okay, the animation is triggered, but it doesn't jump. Then if we go down, it moves here, nice. And then contact me is working, but we have two problems. The first one is somehow the mesh disappears. And if we go 2 down, it detects a section 4. So we need to fix this. For the section 4, it's very easy. We can do a simple check. If cur section is superior to 3, cur section is equal to 3. But about the model issue, this is because of frustum calling. Our mesh is animated and think is outside of the screen, while for us it appears on the screen. So we can just disable it, even if it's not something good if you have a lot of materials and models. But here, because we have only one model and we always want to render this model, it's not a problem. So it's the easiest and fastest fix to do. So go into avatar and disable the frustum call. Here, here, here on all skin mesh. Then it will stop to disappear randomly. Here, here, and here. Now let's try to scroll down again. Our character is always visible. We don't have some part of the head that disappear. And if we are down, it's still here, section 3. Let's change the animation when the character transitions from one section to another. To do so, let's store the character animation in a state and set character animation. As we start with typing, we will set typing by default. Then we attach it to our avatar. Animation equal character animation. And what we will do is a use effect to be triggered every time that the section changes. It will set the character animation to falling. So once it changes, our character changes animation, and use set timeout to change the character animation to the good one. I made it simple. So either the section is 0, then it's typing, or it's standing. But you can be more creative and do more stuff. And then you need to decide the duration of the set timeout. I use 600 milliseconds. I found it good, but still do what you like. Now, if you reload, you have the animation, then it's it. It's a bit a bug, but I like this effect, so I kept it. You can change it if you want. Then you change the section and you have that nice falling animation. Time to create our project section that is currently empty. In our experience, on the bottom of everything, we will add a new component we will create named projects. Then we will need to create this component. So component, new file, projects.jsx, export const projects, return a group for now. Then in experience, don't forget to import it. And let's work on it. I created an array of projects. What it contains is a title, a URL to the website you want to highlight, an image, it's local to our project, a description, and some different projects. You can add your projects, of course. Don't copy mine as it's only YouTube videos. And then go to public folder, create a new one named projects and put your images here. Magic, it's here. Let's go to our project. It's the container of each project. What we will need is the viewport to positionate our group. It's in use 3. We already used it before. And the best position I found is position Y is minus viewport.8 multiplied by 2. So it's just because it's the third section. Then you can slightly position it where you want. So I added 1 to make it a bit on top of this section. Now in that group, we will need to iterate over our projects. So we use map. We have each project and an index. What we will return is a project component that we will create. But first we will wrap it in a motion group because we want to animate it later. And a project component. We will need to import motion from Framer Motion 3D. Be careful of the 3D. Add a key to the group. We will use project plus index and add the project as a prop. So we have the information available in the project component. Here, let's create it. The project, we get it from the props and we return our component. We will use a group and pass the rest of the props if we want to positionate it individually. Then inside, we will have a mesh to act as a background. We will use a plane geometry with those dimensions. I use 2.2 and 2. And use a mesh basic material with a black color, transparent, and an opacity of 0.4. Then add an image component from R3F Drei. What it will be? It will have a scale of 2, 1.2, and 1. The URL of the image is project.image. And set tone mapped to false to avoid color issue. We want the real colors. And the position on the y-axis to 0.3. So far, this is what we have. We have all our project fighting here. You can see those black lines fighting with the image. We can fix it. On the plane, set the Z position a little bit behind. So now it's not fighting anymore, but we can only see one project. We'll fix it later, but first let's finish creating one project component. We'll use some text. The content will be project.title. The max weight will be 2 because it's our container size. We'll anchor it on the left for the x-axis and on the top for the y-axis. We'll use a font size of 0.2 and set the position to -1, -0.4 and 0. We can add 2 uppercase on the title. Same for the description. We add a max width, the same anchor, a little slower font size, and a position. Here is what it looks like. It seems fine, but they are all centered. So let's spread them based on their index. So go on projects. For every project, we will set the position based on the index. On the x-axis, we will use index multiplied by 2.5 for spacing them. On the y-axis, we will keep a 0. And on the z-axis, we will use -3. Now it's starting to look nice, but we will try to animate them and to handle the on-click. To handle the on-click, go on the mesh, set on-click, and window dot open project URL and blank to open in a new tab. Now if you click on a project, it opens a new tab with the project. Now what we want to do is to highlight one project and use a slider. But we will need to connect this project, which is 3D based, with the experience, with the interface, which is the UI, and they are disconnected. We could use a context and do the connection, but we can use a simple library that will connect it very fastly. This library we will use is from the same creator as React 3 Fiber. What we will do is create an atom. It's like a use state, but global to our whole project, which is perfect. Open a terminal, yarn add Jotai, and restart the dev server. Now into our project, we will create a public atom. So I export it, current project atom equal atom. So this is a method from Jotai. What we want is to take the middle element of our project. So mat.floor projects.length divided by 2. And to have access to it, here we will just do current project atom equal use atom of current project atom. So now we have the current project atom available here. To check if it works, we will add highlighted props if the index equal current project. By the way, it's not atom here. We just want current project. Now, if we go on our project, we have access to a new prop, highlighted. And we can, for example, change the background opacity. So let's have a ref on the background, which is this plane. Ref equal background. We also have background opacity, which will be a motion value with the default value we had. So it's 0.4. In a use effect, if highlighted change, what we will do is call animate on the background opacity. If it's highlighted, we will set 0.7. If not, 0.4, our default value. And in a use frame, we'll set background.current.thematerial.opacity is equal the background opacity.get to get the actual value of our motion value. Now we can see here that 3D avatar, the center item, because we have 5 items, is in black while the other are black transparent. Before animating it, let's go to the interface and create the slider. Instead of this, oopsie, we will create a projects section. Here it is. I made something very simple with a container centering our items. We have a button previous, projects the title with the same style than the other titles, and the next button. Now we need to code the logic for previous project and next project. So first, to get the current project and set current project, we will use atom from current project atom. So it's the same. But here it's the same connection. It's the global state we have. Now we will define the next project method. What it will do is set current project with current project +1 modulo. So if it goes too far, it will go back to the 0. And previous project. Set current project, same modulo, thank you. Now we can see those buttons here. We can hit previous and it go back. And if we hit next, perfect. But let's animate it to make it look cool. Go back to projects and we will animate it here. On the motion group, we will add animate and we will conditionally set the X position. So what we want is 0, that we will add the index minus the current project multiplied by 2.5. Then on the y-axis, if it's the current project is equal to our index, we set 0 or minus 0.1. And for the z-axis, the same logic, but we want either -2 or -3. So far, what it does is this, but we can play further with rotations. So rotate on the x-axis, if it's the current project, we will use 0 or minus math.pi on 3. And rotate on the z current project, it will be either 0 or minus 0.1 multiplied by math.pi. Of course, play with the variables and see if you have a better result. Now we have this. When we hit next, we have that nice effect with the animation. Because it's spring animation, it's more fluid and realistic than just timeline-based animation. If you scroll, you have that nice 3D effect because project is on top while the items are in the back, so we have real depth. Now what we will do is when we change a section that the background color change. To do so, we will create a new component that we will name background. Export const background equal. And as usual, we'll return a group. Inside, let's put a sphere. We will want to be inside a sphere. So we set a scale, it's not too important, just not too small, not too big, so it's visible, but like a background. And use a mesh basic material. We'll need a ref to it to animate it. Because we are inside that sphere, we need to set the side of the basic material to 3.backside. And we also want to make it tone mapped to false to really have the color we will decide in HTML. Let's see first if it works. Though in our experience, we can go maybe on top of it and add the background component. But we have an error because I didn't create the material reference. Now we have a white background because we didn't specify a color. So it means it works, we just have to animate it. For this, we will use GSAP, but first we need an object. We'll name it color and use ref. It will be an object because GSAP works on object. We'll set the color. Me, I used B9 BCFF, but choose your colors the way you like it. And we will need the scroll, but it's for later. Now what we will do is create a timeline. So timeline equal use ref. This timeline, we will instantiate it in a use effect. To instantiate it, what we do is timeline.current for accessing the reference is equal to jsap.timeline. Then what we do is we set the different values we want. So to color.current because we're working on that object, and the object property we want to change, it will be the color. I chose 2121, so it's a black color, and we define all the other colors. So I have this. So currently, this is the colors we have. Our timeline is this because the default value is this. So the first one is this, then 2. We have this color, then it will be this one and this one. This is the sequence of colors our timeline contains. So now in each frame, we will go to the current scroll position in the timeline. Timeline.current.progress, and we'll use data.scroll.current. So if we are at the end of the scroll, it will go to the deepest animation. So it's here, it will be this color. But if we are between those two, it will animate it smoothly and find a color between those two. And now what we need to do is material.current.color equal 3.color with our new color. Now we have that blue color, which is the first one. Then you can see it smoothly transition to this dark color. Then we have this and this. But for the skills, we need to set it to a light mode. Jump to interface, it's skills, and change the color to white. Text white, here we can use text white, more text gray 100, so it's almost white. Same here, it's fine. Here, text white and text gray 100. Now we have one section in dark mode, but maybe later we can make dark and light mode. We are almost done. Let's fix the contact me button because now we can click on it, but it doesn't scroll into the last section. What we will need to do is to go to experience and pass down the set section to interface. But we could use Jotai to do it. It would be easier, but we won't do it. Interface, about section, set section equal set section. So we need to get it from the props. And in the about section, same here, set section. And the button is here, on click, set section, and the number is 3. Now I can go hit contact me, and I can contact me. Let's add a final touch. Here we have a screen. We can display a video texture over this screen. First, let's jump back to Blender. Let's have a look at the screen. If we go into edit mode, go into vertex mode, so hit 1, select the 4 points. That means the screen is selected. Hit Shift D to duplicate it, escape, and then separate. So now we have a second iMac. Go back to object mode, select the other one and name it screen. Now, if you are on screen, go back to edit mode, select all the points and hit F. It will create a face containing other screen. So you can go back to the iMac here and we can delete the screen. Okay, so now we have the screen here. We will need to do two things. The first one is to check if the normal is correct, so the texture will be facing us. We click here, face orientation, and we see it's red, which is incorrect. It's not facing us, but backwards. So go to edit mode, select this face, and type normals flip. Okay, now it's blue, it's correct. Okay, and okay. Now, if you are in UV editing or go to it, edit mode, here, select it, and do U unwrap. And here you will have your texture, but you can see it's taking half of the texture. As we don't want to bother and take the full video height, we will make it full height. So here, go on the vertices, click here if it's not the case. So here, select the first one, and the Y you set it to 1. Then here you set it to 1. So now the UV will take the whole texture height. As you don't want to create errors and kill your baking, maybe go into shading and here remove the bake texture, or it will bake it into the whole texture you will make later, and remove it from your items. You don't want to bake it. Put it with the stage. Now, if you export it and rerun npx-gltf JSX, you will have the screen mesh available here. Copy it and put it in your office. Because the order has no importance, you can put it on top. Now we will need to create a special material containing the video texture. But first we need a video. Go into public, in textures, and add a video texture. It can be the video of your choice, but just be careful it's not too big so it doesn't take a huge loading for nothing. I found a VS Code video very lightweight. Let's create our video texture. Let's name it texture VS Code is equal to use video texture. And the path is textures vscode.mp4. And that's almost all what we have to do. We just go to our screen. Instead of the material screen, we will define a new one on the mesh. We'll use image basic material. Map is texture VS Code and tone mapped to false. Now you can see we have it working, but it's fighting with the previous geometry. So let's remove it. I know it's in iMac. And let's try a different one. Is it this one? And yes, now it's not fighting anymore. So now we have our video texture into our screen. You can put anything that looks cool. As you don't need it anymore, you can delete it. And don't forget, because we are done, to change the title of your portfolio to your own name portfolio. And maybe change the icon here. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this complete portfolio course. Please hit the like button to help the channel grows and gains visibility. Based on the comments, we'll see if I do an extra episode for the responsive, loader, dark mode, and connecting the form to a tool to receive real emails. I added YouTube memberships to the channel. If ever you want to support what I do, I will be forever grateful. But if you want to continue learning and improving your React 3 fiber skills, jump to the next video by clicking here.